You've spent hours perfecting your compost, only to see your pepper plants look underwhelming. What if I told you your healthy compost might actually be starving them? Everyone says compost is magic. But what if that magic is secretly hindering your peppers? We're pulling back the curtain on a little-known secret. Even the best-looking compost can have invisible deficiencies that stunt growth. Stop wondering why your peppers aren't thriving. We'll show you what's really going on and how to get them bursting with fruit. Picture this. You've got gorgeous, dark, crumbly compost that smells earthy and rich. It looks like the gardening gold standard, and you're proudly spreading it around your pepper plants, expecting miraculous results. But weeks pass and your peppers seem lackluster compared to your neighbor's plants that are loaded with vibrant fruit. The harsh reality? Your beautiful compost might actually be nutritionally bankrupt for the specific needs of pepper plants. The misconception that all compost is created equal has led countless gardeners down this frustrating path. We've been conditioned to believe that decomposed organic matter automatically equals plant paradise, but peppers are particularly demanding crops with specific nutritional requirements that generic compost often fails to meet. Your compost might be perfect for leafy greens or flowers, but peppers need a different nutritional profile to truly thrive. Consider Sarah from Montana, who contacted our channel last season. Her compost was the envy of her gardening club, perfectly balanced carbon and nitrogen, properly turned, aged for over a year. Yet her pepper harvest was consistently disappointing. After soil testing revealed her compost was actually creating nutrient imbalances, she made targeted adjustments and saw her pepper yield increase by 300% the following season. This isn't uncommon. It's a pattern we see repeatedly when gardeners dig deeper into their compost composition. Learning to read your pepper plants is like developing a sixth sense as a gardener. When compost-related deficiencies strike, your peppers will send you distress signals long before the harvest suffers dramatically. The key is recognizing these early warning signs and distinguishing them from other common issues like pest damage or watering problems. Yellowing leaves that start from the bottom of the plant and work upward often indicate nitrogen deficiency, even when you've been religiously applying compost. This happens because your compost might have tied up available nitrogen during decomposition, leaving your peppers hungry despite your best efforts. Purple-tinged leaves and stems, particularly on the undersides, signal phosphorus deficiency, a common issue when compost pH is off, or when the phosphorus in your compost isn't in a form your peppers can readily absorb. Perhaps the most heartbreaking sign is blossom end rot, those dark sunken spots on the bottom of developing peppers. While often attributed to inconsistent watering, this condition frequently stems from calcium deficiency or the plant's inability to uptake calcium due to imbalanced soil conditions created by problematic compost. Similarly, if your pepper plants are growing vigorously but producing few flowers or fruits, you might be dealing with excessive nitrogen from fresh compost that's pushing vegetative growth at the expense of fruit production. The critical window for intervention is typically 4 to 6 weeks after transplanting, when peppers are establishing their root systems and beginning their reproductive phase. Catching these issues early means the difference between a mediocre harvest and pepper plants so loaded with fruit you'll be sharing with everyone in the neighborhood. The science behind nutrient availability in compost is far more complex than most gardeners realize, and this complexity often works against pepper plants in subtle but significant ways. Nutrient lockout occurs when certain elements in your compost bind with others, creating compounds that your peppers simply cannot access, even though soil tests might show adequate nutrient levels. One of the most common issues stems from carbon to nitrogen ratios that seem perfect on paper, but create ongoing problems in practice. When compost has been made with too much high-carbon material like wood chips or sawdust, it can continue drawing nitrogen from the soil even after application, essentially competing with your peppers for this crucial nutrient. Conversely, compost heavy in nitrogen-rich materials like fresh grass clippings can create salt buildup and pH swings that make other nutrients unavailable. The phosphorus puzzle is particularly tricky with homemade compost. While your compost might contain adequate phosphorus, it often exists in forms that aren't immediately available to plants, especially in alkaline soils. Micronutrient deficiencies represent perhaps the most insidious problem because they're nearly invisible until significant damage occurs. Magnesium deficiency, which presents as yellowing between leaf veins, is extremely common in compost-amended soils because many organic materials are naturally low in bioavailable magnesium. Calcium deficiency isn't just about adding more calcium to your compost, it's often about pH levels and the presence of competing ions like potassium that can interfere with calcium uptake. Boron deficiency, though less common, can completely halt fruit development and is often overlooked because the symptoms mimic other issues. Testing your compost and soil doesn't have to be an expensive laboratory affair though. Professional testing certainly has its place for serious problems. Home test kits for pH, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are affordable and honestly surprisingly accurate when used correctly. The key is testing both your compost before application and your soil after you've been using your compost for a full growing season. When testing reveals deficiencies, targeted supplementation becomes your most powerful tool. For immediate nitrogen deficiency, fish emulsion or liquid kelp can provide quick relief without disrupting soil biology. Bone meal worked into the soil around pepper plants addresses phosphorus deficiency, but only if your soil pH is between 6 and 7. Outside this range, you'll need different strategies. Calcium deficiency requires a nuanced approach because, simply adding lime can throw off other nutrient balances. Gypsum provides calcium without dramatically affecting pH, while crushed eggshells composted directly into your pile provide slow-release calcium for long-term soil health. For magnesium deficiency, Epsom salt provides immediate relief when dissolved in water and applied as a foliar spray, while incorporating kelp meal into your compost builds long-term magnesium availability. Compost enrichment during the composting process is honestly far more effective than trying to correct deficiencies after application. Adding specific materials like banana peels for potassium, coffee grounds for nitrogen and a bit of acidity, or wood ash in small quantities for potassium and calcium can create a more balanced finished compost. The key is understanding that different organic materials contribute different nutrients and planning your compost ingredients accordingly. Building truly balanced compost for peppers starts with understanding the 30-to-1 carbon-to-nitrogen ratio as just the beginning, not the end goal. Successful pepper-specific compost incorporates materials that provide not just basic NPK, but also the micronutrients that peppers specifically crave. This means including seaweed meal, rock dust, or crushed granite in your compost pile, along with diverse organic materials that break down at different rates to provide sustained nutrient release. Layering technique becomes crucial when building pepper-focused compost. Start with coarse materials like small branches or corn stalks for drainage, then alternate thin layers of high-nitrogen materials like vegetable scraps with carbon-rich materials like dry leaves or shredded paper. Every few layers, sprinkle in mineral amendments like kelp meal or rock phosphate to ensure micronutrient availability. This layered approach creates diverse microzones within your compost where different nutrients develop and become available at different times. Seasonal adjustments to your composting strategy can dramatically improve pepper performance throughout the growing season. Long-term compost health requires thinking beyond individual growing seasons to build soil that becomes more productive each year. This means maintaining multiple compost systems at different stages of decomposition, regularly adding diverse organic materials, and monitoring the pH and nutrient balance of your finished compost. Consider keeping a compost journal to track what materials you add and how your peppers respond, creating a personalized formula for your specific soil conditions and climate. The truth is, most gardeners really underestimate how specific pepper plants are in their nutritional needs. By understanding the hidden deficiencies that can lurk in even the most beautiful compost and taking proactive steps to address them, you're setting yourself up for pepper harvests that will be the envy of your neighborhood. Your peppers will reward your attention with abundant, flavorful fruit that makes every effort worthwhile. Remember, great gardening is about continuous learning and adaptation. What works in your garden might need tweaking for your specific conditions, but armed with this knowledge, you'll be able to diagnose and solve compost-related pepper problems before they impact your harvest. If you found this guide helpful and want to make sure you never miss our latest gardening insights, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Share this with fellow gardeners who might be struggling with their pepper harvests. Together, we can help everyone grow the garden of their dreams. What's your biggest compost challenge? Drop a comment below and let's solve it together.